All right, hey class, welcome to week 8. We are officially at the halfway point of the semester, so congratulations on making this far. It's be kind of a quicker video this week because there's not a whole lot going on besides just continuing to work through our scaffolding assignments for Project 3. If you are still kind of confused about what Project 3 is or whatever, just know that I plan on let's say Monday on Wednesday of this week, I'm going to upload a walkthrough where I'm looking at a like an example, basically like a sample text, and I'll walk you through what a literature review looks like, what it's kind of doing, all of the functions of it, and so that'll be up Wednesday. So I'm going to have that coming up, and then we'll be good to go on that. I hope. In terms of housekeeping stuff, not a whole lot to say other than that I am working through your Cornell notes. I'm almost done with those. You should have those back tomorrow is my goal, along with your previous vlog, so that for this week you'll have everything graded and back to you that you'll need in order to keep kind of doing these scaffolding assignments. Cool. So look out for that. For my goal is to finish them tomorrow. So that's where we're at. All right, so let's take a look at week 8 then. So like I said, week 8 is the halfway point in the semester, but it's also where we're starting to get down into the nitty-gritty details of what the literature review is doing. And so what you'll see here in a minute is there's not really any reading for this week. It's all just either working on your outline for your literature review or starting to flesh some of it out, maybe rereading some of your sources. Because what I want to talk about is that the bulk of your work right now should be just getting to know the sources that you found in your Cornell notes. So kind of go back, reread them, make sure that you're highlighting or pulling out or whatever you want to do some important quotes. And what those quotes should do is they should convey the major points that the author is trying to make. Because remember, in a literature review, your goal is to give a comprehensive overview of what that particular author is saying. Okay, and so for each of your sources that you found so far, what you should have is the ability to summarize the text quickly but succinctly. Right, this is what the text is about. The author is arguing this. And then you want to have a few quotes or places in the text that you can point to say, look, here's where the author is making his or her point. Okay, this is something that he or she says, because you're going to be pulling evidence out of this and putting it in your lit review. So make sure that you're not just talking about it. Make sure that you have something like a few concrete quotes that you can point to in your lit review that you can use and say, like, look, here's an example of the author saying this and making their argument. And so that's what we're looking for. So that should be your reading work for this week, is just getting to know your texts, trying to figure out how each author is responding to the topic, right? Because remember, they're all talking about the same topic. So how is each author approaching that topic? Because that is really what the lit review will do, is it'll outline how each author approaches that topic. And so what you'll notice as you get to know your text more and more is that you'll be able to point to each text, and kind of like you would be if you were summarizing a conversation that people are having. You'd say, like, look, author A was saying this, author B is saying this, author C kind of disagrees with author A and B because he says blah blah blah. That's the function of a lit review. And so by rereading your text, pulling those main points out, you'll be able to do that really easily, and it should and you'll start to pick up on all of those things as you go through them. So that's your reading for this week. Now, in terms of assignments, we've got 2 things coming up, neither of which are very hard, so it shouldn't take away from you getting to know your text, but let's take a look at them. The first one up is the blog 5. Now, this is the second of our scaffolding assignments that we have for Project 3. And so you can see here by now, you should have done all of these. So you did this for Project 1, this for Project 2, also for Project 2, right? There we go. And the introduction for Project 3 is what you did in your previous blog for last week. And so by now you have all of these things. Now these are all the major components that will let you build a literature review. And so what I want you to do is, for this blog, I want you to create an outline for your lit review. Now if you've never done an outline before, there's a lot of different ways to do it. What I like to do is have each paragraph kind of set up. So like introduction paragraph, what is my main argument? Just one sentence. Paragraph 1, what am I going to tackle in that? What is the subject of paragraph 1? Paragraph 2, so on and so forth. And so just start to think about how you want to put this together. And now the way you'll do this for your lit review is you're going to want to group authors together based on their ideas. And what I mean by that is, as you are reading through your text, you will notice that certain authors maybe agree with each other. I mean, they might not come out and say, like, I agree with author A, but their ideas might mesh. Or you might have authors whose ideas kind of butt up against each other. And so those are the ones you're going to want to group together, because you're going to want to show how this conversation is taking shape. And so as you're reading your 8 sources, you could say things like, author A and author B, seem to be saying these similar things. Author C and author D and author E are maybe disagreeing with each other, however it plays out. But so start to think about, and your synthesis tree will help this, how you might want to group these authors, these sources into an overall essay. So if you basically, I want you to think about how you're going to transform this into an essay, essentially. And so that's really all the work we've got going for this blog. So just, try to get your outline up here. So by the end of this week, you will have your research guide, your Cornell notes, your synthesis tree, your introduction to project 3, and then an outline for project 3. And what's nice is then we can spend the next 2 weeks drafting and actually putting pen to paper and fleshing your outline out and really helping this thing kind of come alive. All right, so there's that. The other thing that you will have do for this week is what I call a midterm reflection. Essentially, this is just kind of a what is this? It's just kind of a way to stop and assess what you've done so far. And so it's like a totally personal reflection thing. So for this assignment, you're going to compose a 500 to 1,000 word reflection essay in which you assess your performance in this course, providing evidence for successes and describing goals and plans for continuing to work on areas of the class which you feel you need to give more attention. Here are some guiding questions if you get stuck. What have you done in this class you're most proud of? What are some challenges you've run into? What are some skills you've worked on? What would you like to work on moving forward? So this is just, what I want you to do is just describe your experience so far, right? There's no right or wrong answer. Just point to some specifics. You can say, like, I think I've done really well in this class, or I've struggled in this class. Why? And you can come down here and answer these questions. Again, there's no wrong answer. I just want to see what you guys are thinking at this point. But the one thing that I'll be looking out for, and this is kind of one of those, there's no rubric to this, right? But if you're pointing towards specific moments in your writing or specific moments throughout the semester in this class, that's what I'm looking for. So you can say, like, look, I had a big challenge early on because of X, Y, and Z. Or, I think the thing that I'm most proud of was in week 4 when I wrote this thing, whatever it is, okay? I don't care what it is you point to, just point to some specific things to answer those questions. All right? All right, guys. Well, like I said, my goal is to have your blogs or your project 2 and blog 4 back by tomorrow, so that way you have everything that you need in order to complete your midterm reflection and your blog 5, so you should be good to go. If you do have any questions or concerns, let me know, and I will be in touch. Bye.